Hello, Free Enterprise fans, and welcome to this round of 32 matchup today, this afternoon, wherever you are around the world, against Dathus versus Mechalink. I'm sure we are ready to have a fun one here. I'm joined by CS Radical, who's also let me know that his first name is Amazing. How are you doing, Amazing?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you so much for asking. Excited to see this race between two fantastic runners as we continue on here in the round of 32. The winner moving on to the round of 16 here in the waxing bracket, and we'll be going ahead against John Burkhead. And with this current boss setup, we're going to be looking for sparkles aplenty this afternoon.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3 sparkles. That is a good number of them. And also, you know, whenever you're hunting sparkles in particular, you know, there are different strategies for kind of all of them. And while these three aren't like the rudest of like possibilities of those sparkles, they still require, like, especially if like a Paladin shows up early or D-Lunar shows up at a very high hit point spot, like they can be very, very annoying to fight.
Yeah, there'll definitely be some locations down the line, depending on how late the seed goes, where you're going to be seeing sparkles and going, oh, is it in this spot? Oh, no. But we'll see.
Always the Leviathan spot.
And
we shall see.
Yeah, and as always, shout out to the rest of our Restream team. We got Xenocat in the Restream booth with Fried Potato pushing all the buttons for us today, and we shall see which buttons are going off, especially which button is going to be the first one to go, if we even get something at the start of this seed.
I always like seeing the spoon early, just because Spoonward is fun. And I love seeing if Edward shows up and anybody wants to lean into that strategy.
I mean, it's great regardless. If you get it right off the top and you get an Eddie, you're super happy. And if you don't get an Eddie, we're all sitting here behind the booth or behind the glass and going, oops.
I mean, usually it's the opposite. It's Edward is in every seed, but there is no spoon.
That is also true. Anytime you have an Edward start, you go, well, I guess I won't see a spoon for at least an hour. That's good to know.
Yeah. Yep. Something else I love to do when I'm looking at bosses is I'm just thinking about like weaknesses and strategies, and really kind of notable for only having a few. Odin, of course, weak to that thunder. D-Lunar is weak to cure bombing them, and Paladin with the dragon weakness. Plague with the flying weakness. So actually, I guess half of these bosses are weak to those things. Karate could be quote-unquote free. Cecil in the party. Otherwise, you know, Mylan and friends. Always a party, wants some AoE. But anyways, we are off to the races here.
Yeah, we know we do have a ready to start. We'll see what our pair is. We've got a Yang, so not the Yang you're looking for. And we're starting with dolls, so no boss information. A Legend Sword as well, so no key item that's going to be useful right away. No boss information that's going to help. And I mean, not the best starting party, but, you know, could always be worse.
This is kind of a pile of nothing. A nothing sandwich, if you will, for the moment. But we, of course, have 5 other characters to pick up. Adamant Rock could mean Forge early. Forge can be, so we have our Super Forge, Super Smith Forge on. It could be literally any GBA weapon. Depending on the characters in the pool, there are some really amazing weapons like the Fiery Hammer. There's Scrap Metal, which is kind of worthless. Like, it's kind of, and everything in between.
Yeah, it's always possible to be something that really puts your party over the edge, or, as we just said, could be a whole lot of nothing.
Meanwhile, Dathus, a little bit of divergence. I see this pretty often in these seeds. We're kind of going either clockwise or counterclockwise to pick up characters. Dathus choosing to run to Mysidia finds a Palom, Vanilla Palom, I suppose, and that Sid, whereas Mechalink heading to Watery Pass, finding the Porum. That means we know Twin cast is in the seed. Twin is very powerful early. I think runners are going to be very happy to see that.
Yeah, and we'll see if we have, with the couple of spots we have left, do we have a nice complement to that. I mean, you're okay if you find some decent mage gear at this point, although you're probably hoping for at least a Cane Edge or a Cecil just to have at least one good attacker else in here. I mean, it's always possible if you do, like we said, get an Adamant and you get a Super Smith and you get really lucky, you get that Fiery Hammer. Sid's going to become very useful. But, you know, that's something that our runners are not particularly looking at right now. That's at least 35, 40, 45 minutes from now, probably.
Yeah. Dathus doing the Chocobo Forest item outside of Ordeals. Always love that chest. Abandons one chest but goes for the other. Also love that. He pulled a Mute Dagger for his trouble, which is nice, and will pair well with this edge that Mechalink has found a damp stand. And oh, there is that Tella on Ordeals here. This is very interesting because we've gotten, I believe, all of our character information right out the gate here.
Yep. So your main attack is going to be Edge. If you want to keep that Sid, you got a little bit more there. I mean, Yang, you can if you can get the Cat Claws together, and if he lasts long enough to really get that health way up there, it's going to help a lot. But it's seeming like at this point, you're probably looking to have a good split between mages and attack right now.
All right, notably, neither runner ran for the free key item immediately, opting to look for their characters first, route this in when it makes sense, and Edward this time has our underground access with the hook.
Yeah, sometimes it makes sense, too, to wait until after you've checked at least Mysidia for the Bedward character, because if it happens to, or not Bedward character, a Bedward key item, because if you get Darkness Crystal, if you don't really feel like sitting through 2 minutes right off the bat, I mean, in this seed, pretty likely you're going to raise it anyway, but sometimes it's nice to not have to wait 2 minutes just to have that information.
Yeah, Dathus choosing to get rid of the Rydia probably makes sense in a way of like putting her away for maybe a slingshot later. We do have Tella in the seed, which means early darkness can mean that D-Machine grind. Power Shirt just casually sitting in the hidden room in Watery Pass. I'm not sure if did Mecha go for that item? He might have, and I missed it.
I don't know if
powerful.
Mecha went all the way through, if chat knows the answer to that.
Yeah, pretty common to skip that since it kind of takes a little bit to walk in and out, especially if Mechalink didn't have that Tella at the time, whereas Dathus kind of going counterclockwise instead of clockwise had the Tella before getting to this spot. And also with that exit mage and Tella choosing to fully loot Watery Pass, while meanwhile Mechalink is in Cave Eblin with that early hook, kind of looking for some stuff. Would be pretty happy to see Leviathan, I bet. I didn't see what's in the shop yet, but this is kind of like looking for some early power in these shops.
Yeah, for the time being, you're just trying to get a good assessment of what's in front of you, start planning on what your next move's going to be. I mean, Dathus right now is just trying to see, ooh, a nice ninja shirt there. That's also going to help out Edge. So you're trying to get a good sense of what your starting equipment's going to lead you towards. And especially with that shop in Eblin, it gives you an idea of, you know, if you have potential for an early grind, if you got Sirens, if you really need that extra levels with, say, the Lilith grind, so.
Yeah, a lot of powerful options, honestly, going on here. I'm not sure if Mechalink chose to take that Leviathan, but it is an option with Rydia. Having their early game clear is going to be Twin Cast and Edge. It's kind of what we're doing immediately. Mechalink opting to loot Eblin Castle after checking Cave Eblin, hits one trap. So there's up to 3 trap chests in this place, but a lot of really powerful early loot. Can find some amazing stuff for Edge as well.
Yep. And I mean, there's always the chance that you'll end up finding stuff for characters that you don't need. I mean, this would be the worst time to see Crystal Sword showing up now.
It is a huge pile of money, to be fair, but yes.
It is, but it also is a moment of, really? Now I get one?
But it's a Crystal Sword. It's amazing.
I mean,
amazingly
yeah, if you could throw it.
I know. That's like the worst part. You can't throw it. The X-Cal is an amazing dart, though. I will say that. All right, so it's we're Dathus and Mechalink kind of taking some upfront looting time here. I don't mind the strategy. You just kind of get all the stuff, all the goods up front. We're in T Wildish. There's kind of good stuff everywhere. Yeah, random Artemis bow just kind of sitting in the basement of Castle Eblin here. Fully power these teams up and then kind of get gunning.
Yeah, and worst case scenario too, even if you don't find necessarily what you're looking for, you're going to find some decent stuff that you can sell off that'll get your money, your bank account will be nice and full, getting ready for, if say Eblin shop is something you want, or if you go underground and you find Sirens, Bacchus wines, like anything that you really need to stock up on. So
yep, Dathus trading out the cat clawware for the ninja cat clawware. Dathus probably pretty happy and set with his party now. As far as party strategies go, it's going to depend if an early the darkness shows up, but otherwise we're just going to have some standard overworld looting, some boss checking. That was the guards kind of having a little break under the waterfall. No need for the guards today.
They were just looking for a bit of a shower there. I hear it's pretty hot this time of year.
It's a nice place to relax with your friends, isn't it? Dathus making the Hobbs chuck. I'm always happy to see this early. It's very easy to forget. And we find a sparkle on Hobbs here.
Our first one, 3 out of 5 shot. Let's see.
And it's Plague. This is an objective.
I mean, between the 3 that we got, definitely like the middle ground of ones I'd like to check off the list early. Pale Dim is the one that I can accept later in there just because it's not nearly as threatening in most spots. Plague is nice to see off the board early because it means just less optimization in a much higher HP spot. Although I would say that having a D-Lunars off the list really early would be my favorite at this point.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Plague in the wrong location, back attack ordeals, or Baron in 2 is kind of a nightmare to deal with. Or can be when you're fast anchored, but at this spot, not really so bad.
No, it's something that you're happy to see Plague off early, but you're also sitting there like, couldn't have been Lunars, could it?
At least the D-Lunars, you get those cute froggy strats.
I mean, you say that, but I still sometimes don't pull that off. So.
Well, sometimes it is so the frog strats, right? It's reflecting the breath and kind of taking advantage of the exploit where that breath attack is coded in a way to kind of pierce the D-Lunar's boss bit, which normally provides immunity against status effects, and then they can be frogged. I think it's the only effect of all the breaths things that happens to them. But it's like it has to bounce off of walls, and if not enough of them bounce off, because the bounce then hits random D-Lunars, right? So you often get like the half frog strategy instead. That ends up being not quite so ideal.
Even then, it just makes that fight so much more bearable because, my god, that can be such an irritating fight if it doesn't go the way that you want it to.
You mean you don't like single D machines that fire your team to death?
I'm gonna go out on a real hot take here and say yes, I don't like that.
Hot take? Because it's flame, fire, whatever it's called?
You got me on that one.
I know. Wow, amazing. I'm usually not amazing at puns and comms, so whenever I find even the smallest, most pathetic of them, I'm like, I did it, it's there.
It's a bit of a self-pat on the shoulder for that one.
It is, yeah, it's there. You can't see it, but I self-patted myself.
Potential 50-50 coin flip here for Mylon, but it's the wrong one. Came up tails.
Mylon said, wanting to fall down the deep ravine of the Antlion Cave. Not sure where that ravine is, but doesn't even get a chance, I don't think, to tell us to do that, as Dathus just says, take this Gungnir, get off my screen, and gets a Baron Key for his reward.
Definitely a nice pickup there. That's 3 more bosses to look at. Yet to go visit Bedward for that hook, but plenty of time to go through the overworld, kind of get an assessment of what you have here, get your levels up a little bit better. And if you're lucky, you have a couple more bosses down, so we'll see.
Yeah, I don't mind the fade of that freebie key item chuck too much. The only time it ends up feeling really bad is when it's exactly the Earth Crystal, because you get the treasury just right there immediately. But, I mean, the odds of that are not super amazing. And yeah, now we see Dathus and Mechalink, even though they went different ways, one went counterclockwise, one went clockwise, essentially, in their character and loot routing, have both converged on ordeals, want these 3 bosses, want Tele to come online.
Yeah, and it makes perfect sense, too. You got 3 chances. There's another Sparkle, so now we got a 2 and 4 chance.
And it's Wyvern. 1 Star Veil is going to come up for Mechalink, and we're going to get through that fight. I don't think we have time for one more. Yep.
At this point, you're just happy to get through it.
Another boss you're very happy to see early.
Yeah, that's for sure. There are some real spots, giant, where you don't want to see that at all.
Dathus choosing to hold A, finding the Wyvern fast anchored with Sid, believing he can... Yeah, that's... I appreciate the gumption, but Wyvern still mega nukes. And we're just going to go right back in, probably pop a Star Veil.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not Wyvern or Witchburn, so
yeah.
you kind of got to get a little bit quicker on that.
Yeah, Dathus changing the battle speed to 3 shows a little uncertainty if he can get a Star Veil off and if that would really work out or not. Battle speed 1 would have been fine since we saw holding A, kind of made the attack and Sid had time to attack 2. But, instead of the Star Veil, we're going with more darts. That has 500 hit points left. I'm not sure this one swing will do it. Twin Cast's gonna go off. Battle speed 3, so this is just... Okay, noting the 2 Star Veils in Dathus' inventory, he's really trying to preserve, knowing that those D-Lunars are also... Actually, D-Lunars and Golbez also looming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that
explains his strategy here.
I mean, appreciating the effort, too, on trying to really do this the hard way.
Yeah, were it me, and yeah, Dathus kind of saying, okay, you know what, I give up on that. I'm just going to use my Star Veil, and... Oh, it's actually... I always forget. Okay, it's Blue Moon. Blue Moon gives you 2 starter kits, and so there's actually, what, 7 Star Veils in his inventory? I think Dathus looking down being like, oh yeah, I have all these Star Veils, and then it's all fine.
It's always possible. You kind of mix a few things up, you kind of just forget what the simpler thing is, and you're just like, no, I want to brute force this. I mean, that's also understandable. It is kind of fun to get to just wail away at something, but...
Antline in the back attack. Not the kindest of antlines. Yeah, we did see... Okay, Mechalink did pick up that Leviathan. Pretty huge early on. Leviathan is just basically better Quake. This stage of the game, even though this back attack spot actually has meaningful magic defense, still able to do half of Antline's health, and Rydia wearing something giving her really good defense, not sure what it is. If she has the MP pool for one more Leviathan, and she does, though I think we queued up a lit one there, the Leviathan would deal the rest of this Antline's damage.
And on Dathus' side, since he now had to Star Veil the Wyvern on that one, does have that light sword, so can make this fight go really, really quick if he wants to.
Yeah, we've got the darts. We've got the Twin Cast on his side. I would like to see the Palom and Porom swap places on Dathus' side. Twin Cast has a kind of a quirk to it where it tends to be the twin in higher priority. So priority is top, bottom, middle, top, middle, bottom. So if we swapped their places, Twin Cast would use Palom's magic attack stat, do a little bit more damage. Though it doesn't always work that way, we'll see what this does for damage. If it does not a lot, then we know we're using Porom's magic attack stat.
That's interesting you say that. I've never actually heard that before.
It tends to, yeah, so we see 447 actually, I think, used Palom's. The other reason that it ends up being good is that you can do Palom with a bluff, and then Porom activate the Twin Cast, and that'll deal more damage. And in that setup, that ends up guaranteeing. It's not exactly like priority order, it's more like when the Twin Cast is activated, there's something about some internal setup I don't really understand about how it's choosing. It just, yeah, anyways, doesn't matter super much here, as Dathus and Mechalink both through this fight at about the same time here.
Yep, and we'll see after going 0 for 2 on the boss checks here if the mirror room holds anything that we want at all apart from just Tella getting all his spells. So we'll see with the key item and the boss location there.
I would love to see a Twin Harp here. It would be very interesting to me to see if our runners would want to do that Twin Harp before going underground. Of course, knowing that underground access is guaranteed, it's the Force Hook flag set that is your only way underground. And instead getting a pass. Very happy to see that.
Yep. Definitely makes our runners a little bit calmer if they think about having to go do some cheeky checks towards the end and then having to potentially walk all the way down afterwards. So, nice little handy thing to have. And then we see the other soldiers. This is also going to be a very quick fight. Nothing to scoff at.
So are the officer soldiers coming from like a mirror universe?
I mean,
because it's the mirror.
All right, you can have that one too.
It's not a great one, but it's there. I mean, this era of Final Fantasies has had this like officer soldier encounter setup for a number of the games. For 5 and 6, they tended to be dogs instead of soldiers, but my brain kind of like thinking maybe, I don't know. We're trying here. Anyways, RBG Limit Break, welcome to this race between Dathus and Mechalink. We are about 16 minutes in. We've got our characters, we've got underground access from Bedward, and yeah, things kind of just picking up from here. You've come in at a very good time.
Yeah, and with the one boss checked off for those that have just joined us, that plague is located at Mount Hobbs, so that is the one that we have found thus far. So we'll see where our runners decide to go next. You do have Baron Inn still available. Fabul Defenses hanging around. We do know that Dathus has a Baron key available as well, so that possibility to put both the inn and the castle together are very prevalent here.
Now, are you on team Fade Fabul on these flags?
I'm not team anything. I'm team throw a dart and see what happens.
Wait, like
sometimes
throw a dart
I check it.
Oh, as in like making your choice?
Yep. I mean, it also will help more if I had a Cecil. Cecil at level 1 Paladin gets a really nice level upgrade if you get Fabul defense, so I tend to use that as his jumping point.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Of course, fading Fabul defense means that you go underground, you get to set up Shield 1, and you know that Fabul defense can't be a magma key when you already have the hook. So it kind of saves you a little bit of time of having to double dip Fabul. If you find a pan along your way, you get the single dip. All right, so meanwhile, we've converged at Baron Inn. We find Ashura at a very kind spot. This is Baron Inn 1. Baron Inn 2 would have been much worse for Ashura. Of course, she's got that really annoying counter script, but we're going to take one swing of a Mute Dagger, and she's going to go down in no time. Or even a Fire Tooth. This spot only has like 400-something hit points.
Yeah, it's definitely not much. And also Xenocat noting as we, or Dathus checked Miss Cave, found the Ogopogo, so that means if we see any sparkles at the end of this is it. We have now exhausted all of our sparkles, so we'll know if we see any new ones, that's going to be one of our 2 remaining objectives on that front.
Yeah, very good to know. And now Leviathan, Baron Inn 2, not so bad. This spot tends to be very slow, Edge is very fast. Mechalink with the slow anchor might see a few more Leviathan actions, but honestly, Leviathan on Leviathan violence is what the seed is calling for on Mechalink's side. Get out a lit 2, and yeah, this fight's gonna be over pretty quickly.
Yep, we'll see. Again, no bosses here, but the key item might be worth something as well. And it's a rat tail, so it could be. Now, Dath is still yet to check bedward for that hook, so that's not usable at this point for him. Mechalink will have the opportunity to as soon as this fight's over. Although, again, we know that Antline is hiding that Baron key, so that leads to potential more opportunities for both of our runners to check.
Chat pointing out, by the way, that this is a flavor of vanilla, a flavor of some sort of ice cream, the Ashura into Leviathan, Feymarch moving into the Baron Inn, going on vacation.
I mean, if it's close enough, is that French vanilla or would that be something else?
I mean, I don't think it's French vanilla, right? It's like,
it's vanilla, but like somewhere else. So that's like, it's not chocolate because it's not like it's opposite vanilla.
Is it like, I've seen like home style vanilla? It's like a Breyers brand I've noticed where I'm like, what the heck is the difference between, okay, fine, it's vanilla. But it's home style. Vanilla bean vanilla? Vanilla extract?
It's very amusing when you look at flavors of stuff and you're just like, so it's vanilla.
Yeah, marketing is a thing, isn't it? Like, oh, it's so vanilla. But I mean, I've opened gone into the ice cream section and I'm like, okay, from one brand alone, I see 1, 2, 3, 4 variants of vanilla. And you look at the ingredients and it's like, okay, you put eggs in this one. Got it. The rat tail immediately turning into the pink tail reward. I love this because this little guy here is like, oh, wait, pink tail, wait, oh, hold on, no, I got this too. Here you go, it's your moon veil. Yay.
Like, cool, thanks.
Crystal Sword would have been funnier. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Well, yeah, I mean, like you said earlier, it is money, but it's more just funny because who's gonna use it?
Nobody. Meanwhile, Dathus is at Baron Castle. Makes sense. We did Baron Inn. We're going to do Baron Castle right afterwards. We knew the dolls were in the Bygone spot. Flame, not quite enough to kill all the dolls. Dathus taking a moment to pause. Try not to panic. You want to kill the little doll. You want to kill all the little dolls before they become Calbrena. Calbrena is pretty annoying to fight. Throws a big bomb, able to get through. Early enough in the seed that I like this Baron looting. Finds, I think, a middle sword for his trouble. Happy to find a little upgrade for Edge there.
Yeah, and especially with Wildish, you can find some really nice stuff in there if you want to do the full clear in there. There, you could have definitely found some, even a potential like ninja sword or something like that to really put Edge, well, for lack of a better word, over the edge.
Yeah, exactly. And with the Sineki flag start, we get random gear for our party members and no armor tends to be, actually, it is better for most characters except Edge and Fusoya, specifically. Edge notably ends up starting with like a Charm Claw, which doesn't really spark joy. I think he started with the Silver Dagger this seed. So really any weaponry we can find for him is a good thing. And the Magus Sisters have ascended the Baron Throne today.
Yeah, as we continue further in this seed, as we get more and more boss checks down, it's starting to look more and more prevalent that most of our bosses are going to be locked away for quite some time. I mean, the Underground has a lot under it. The Moon, obviously, you have 8 potential bosses there. So the longer and longer the sea goes on, the more and more that there's a possibility that you're going to see some ugly fights later on.
Yep. Now, we do see Mechalink heading now to Outline Cave. I would say Mechalink is a little bit behind in checks just because he took a little extra time to loot Eblin Castle and bought that Leviathan in Eblin Cave, took that chance to check it. However, he has much greater, I would say, immediate power than Dathus does, and would not be surprised to see if he starts to catch up over the long run of this seed, depending on where it goes. If like the Earth Crystal shows up very early, like let's say it's out of this Baron check and we get amazing gear out of there, that'll sort of negate the advantage from gear that Mechalink has at the moment, but that's just sort of really the only difference between these two runners at the moment.
Yeah, and it also depends too if Dathus decides before going underground to check the castle himself, so that can also even itself out a little bit as well. Mechalink will be happy to find that that sparkle is going to be one that he wants to see, so that will tie us up.
Chat asking, where was Plague? Plague is here at Mon Hops. I love when something like that comes together, like chat asking, oh, where is X thing? Oh, it's right here on screen. I can show you.
Yeah, I mean, we're just going to assume the seed knew what was coming and was like, okay, we're just going to direct this right away to get this question answered, even before it happens. It's like a Minority Report of seeds.
And we have thrown away the saddest of rubies into the Baron pot. With the See No Earned flag, there is only a piggy resting there, who's very cute, but not a character or really anything.
Now we know at this point as Dathus finally goes to the Bedward to get his hook, although we'll check the shops first. Did not check the Baron basement yet, so that information will not be in his mind at this point.
I don't blame him for not checking that early. You're almost certainly unable to take it unless it's incredibly free. So might as well go and look at it when you can take it on.
I mean, you never know. If you take a gamble on it and it happens to be a King Queen Emblem, there's some extra XP for you as well.
Yeah, I mean, that could be, there's definitely a push and pull there about, that choice that you want to make. Could be King Queen Eblin and, it has something of major, it could have the Earth Crystal, for instance, right? So one of those moments in the seed where there could be interesting divergence, but I think the odds are not super great, and I don't blame him for just kind of moving on. And speaking of moving on, Mechalink, I believe, is fading Baron Castle here. It just wants to go down the hook route.
Well, at least we know it's, for the most part, perfectly fine at this point, as the two bosses led to nothing, and the Sand Ruby is not going to help you any good, so makes perfect sense here, although Mechalink doesn't know that and may check the Baron boss sets later on anyway, so we'll see.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. I think the positive of fading Baron is that, it's primarily just bosses, and yeah, you want to find bosses. However, we've only got 1 of 7 bosses done, so you can kind of wait on that if you want. Maybe get an Earth Crystal or a Twin Harp to maybe, make a nice chain of efficiency, Twin Harp and Azad into Baron. The thing that makes me a little leery, though it's going to work out this time, is that when the Darkness Crystal is looming and a D Machine is on the table in a seed where you've got mages, you could slingshot a young. There's a lot of power available out of a D Machine grind. It makes me a little it makes me want to check everything that I can just in case. But yeah, I mean, Mechalink also with the Sirens in Castle Eblin, we have decent grind availability anyways, and we saw Mecha buy some of those Sirens, so probably just leaning towards that strategy instead.
Yep. And I mean, at the same time too, Mecha may also be thinking, maybe my opponent's going to take that Baron, but maybe I want to get ahead and start getting underground as soon as possible, and taking a risk there. You can always go back to it later as well if you do need to do it, and you'll go through it even faster because you'll be much more leveled up going into that. including the basement, which, you can probably take on then at that point anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Mecha finding what I find to be the rudest trap chest in the game. It's the Stalemen. They don't give great experience. This chest does not have great weighting as far as rewards go. And they're really rude. They put you to sleep every punch. They do a lot of damage. Rydia goes to sleep. Kind of unfortunate. His Rydia didn't have the MP for the Leviathan that would have one-shot this encounter, but does get through with, I believe, an Ice Claw there. And yeah, just getting a silver apple for his troubles. It's just one of those early traps that you hit, and he's like, yeah, I'll just fight it. Gets a Charm Rod out of that kind of one out-of-the-way chest. Really nice pickup for that Rydia, or Palom later.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those chests that can trip you up a little bit because it hits a lot harder than you would expect, but also you're going down this route a bit under level to what you traditionally would be in the vanilla game, so there's also that part to it as well.
I just know when I was newer at this game and I was I liked trying to take that trap on, those two Stalemen would put my entire team to sleep, and I would wipe and I'd be like, all right, good check, yep, not doing that again. And we do see Dathus taking that moment to loot Castle Eblan, and we see a blue robe for our hook rat boss. Very spicy.
Yeah, we're either looking at an objective or a free fight, so we'll see which one that is.
The gauntlet down the hook route can be a bit spooky, to be honest, since it is all encounters right from that area, and those encounters tend to be higher level than you are currently. So I always tend to underestimate the Fubble Gauntlet at that spot specifically. But yeah, Mecha says, I want to warp out, sell some of the items that I got. Probably wants to finish off, I would guess, the Siren purchases, so he never has to come back. And it looks like we're selling the farm for maybe up to, honestly, 30 Sirens. He might be leaning towards that strategy, because we're trying to find every bit of money that we can here. Okay, 10 more Sirens. Not sure how many he has total now, and then 10 life potions. And maybe some weapon and armor shopping.
Oh, well, there's our crystal sword on Dathus' side.
Is that what that was? That was the first trap down. I just missed it. Well, it is a huge pile of money. It's like 65,000, I think.
Yeah, if you're looking for eggs, that's going to buy you quite a few.
Yes, that will buy you... Am I going to remember the number right? Someone said maybe 17 and a half, something like that.
It'll buy you enough. Let's go with that.
Or the whistle. Dathus is whistle calling the big chocobo. Where's that sword? Crystal sword, get out of here.
Oh, no. Well, the meme has been activated. Everything is set. We're good. Everything is all right in the world now.
Meme card. 65k, who needs it?
I am now praying that the next trap is a crystal sword as well.
Yeah, no, we're out of whistles. Could have saved the whistle to put all 3 crystal swords from Eblan into the chocobo.
Please, I can't ask for this any harder than I am right now.
Please, more crystal swords.
Dathus thinks he can meme. We need the seed to out-meme him.
Yes, we do. All right. We're all wishing for this now.
Well, in the meantime, Mechalink's still climbing to get to the end of his hook route, hoping that, well, the bosses are quite generous as well with
I need Shaq to act like the Tower of Wishes right now. We need to will this crystal sword into existence.
Everybody lend the siege your energy. Excal is
another holy sword, but we get to actually dart that one. That one's functional. Close, though. Very close. That is 2 tier 8s out of Eblan, by the way. Is this going to be a third?
There's one more chance. Come on, I believe it.
Dathus, I'm not sure if he has that Mute Dagger, would be very effective against these Mad Ogres. They do still punch pretty hard. Quake doesn't really do any damage to them. They have very good magic defense, opting for Stop instead. And we've got a Sparkle on Mechala's side for the King-Queen spot. We know this is required. It is the D-Lunars. Oh dear.
This is gonna be not great.
We're opting for the YOLO DPS option. 1 Leviathan, 1 Fire 2, and 1 Flame to go, please, and pray it kills. Now, the 1 Leviathan alone with the Charm Rod might really be enough. Takes out 1 D-Lunar. The second is going to start firing like no one's business. But the Fire 2, the Flame, Rydia is a good target. Oh, but Edge going down, Rydia going down. Is Fire 2 enough? It is.
Ooh, just enough.
Just skating by. Does Mecha want to take the save? Do we go for aggressive? Go for broke? We're going for broke.
I mean, if it ends up being Water Hag, it's not too bad.
And I think that is Water Hag. Yep. Freebie down the hook route. Meaning that free in like air quotes, by the way, spell just gets
I mean, it's not free for everyone in this fight.
Yeah. I mean, it is ultimately free though, but
it's free for the party, but you know, some.
Oh
yes!
my god, it's Crystal Sword. Yes! 2 Crystal Swords, 1 X-Cal. Get out memed, Dathus.
Your move, Dathus. What you gonna do now?
This is where we need to find carrots in a shop and go hunt down one of those Chocobo Force, or there's the big Chocobo actually in Dwarf Castle sitting between the 2 shops in the back. That's a chance to feed a carrot to the big Chocobo and get rid of 1 more Crystal Sword. I like to believe that Crystal Sword came about from the power of wishing. Thank you, chat.
Well, we were joking at the beginning that Crystal Swords would be probably the last thing you'd want to see. Well, joke's on you. You're getting 2 at least. And there's still time for more.
Speaking of time, Mecha has gotten through that Water Hag in rather quick time, only needing the 3 punches to get through, able to get down the hook route at 34 minutes, 30 seconds. We're going to get a peek at the top of Lower Babel Boss. It's a DKC, not required, probably not coming to this tower anytime soon, depending on where the seed goes, and underground we go.
Ooh, Inventory Boss 2.0
yeah, here. Good old Inventory Boss. So this is showing, by the way, the power of Mecha's early game strategy. Mecha opting for early looting up front and heading to Cave Eblin, finding the Leviathan in that shop, and leading on that to power his overworld. Ended up behind at the start of this, but now has kind of taken the lead. Though he has, okay, actually to be fair, he has faded Baron Castle, but I feel like the difference is sort of equalized now. The time down the hook route may be about equal to the Baron Castle check itself, so Mecha has effectively caught up.
Yeah, it now becomes, I mean, unless somehow, you know, the moon's haunted, it's going to start becoming a race again for Darkness to see who starts really taking those deviations in, trying to see where the bosses might be ending up here. Mechalink doesn't know that Baron Key so far has elicited nothing, so may also be thinking, oh, I may have to go back there at some point because that may put me behind right now by not checking it, but we shall see. I mean, we'll see what Dwarf Castle offers us too. It's hard to say. You never really know what you're gonna run into.
Randomizer. And also, not to discount, Dathus also did take the time to do the Eblin traps. Decided to just sell, to quote unquote just sell the second Crystal Sword. You know, like kind of normal. Happy to kind of cash that in for a pile of 20 seconds, to be honest. So happy to see that. Meanwhile, we have found Leg in the doll's position in Dwarf Castle.
I mean, that Leg is pretty hot. You might want to cool it down. Although apparently we're just trying to drop it into a hole and then make him sick. So I guess that's also a strategy.
Callum also wanting you to fall into the deep ravine. Over and over and over again.
No dialogue though from Paladin when you do it. That's kind of a shame.
I know, right? I like to just think that he's talking about that. By the way, this spot, we like to call this mini Ogopogo for a reason. This Dolls 1 spot has very high, for the level, physical attack and magic attack. Ruby with the countering the fight command with those fire 2s. Honestly dealing a great amount of damage to this team. The glares are instant kills. The punches, nothing to sneeze at. That really has a lot of defense, I've noticed throughout the seed, and still takes a hit for enough to take her down. So this is not like the freest of fights. We'll get through it, but it's kind of a slog. And glad to know that Ogopogo and Leviathan are out of the seats, and Wyvern, so this next fight can't just one-shot our party. And yeah, it's also an easier fight, that Golbez spot.
Yeah, 100%. So a lot less work. I mean, you're still a little clenchy after that fight, but you're pretty much assuming you're not going to see anything too bad here.
It's like a minor clench. It's like a mini clench.
Yeah.
Baigen, honestly pretty happy to see that here. Baigen at the wrong spot can be really disgusting to fight, but like one Flame, one Quake, one Leviathan, one of these is going to go off and we'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, considering Mechalink is probably about to go check the Fey March for the freebie and 2 bosses down there, that'd be one of those places you would not want to see that Baigen.
Oh no, like I've honestly either spot, but especially that Leviathan spot where it's one of the punchiest in the game, if not tied for punchiest in the game, and you've got 3 actors that all get to punch. Pretty gross.
It's not my favorite.
Dathus, meanwhile, gonna find his D-Lunar fight into Water Hag. Should be able to get through this. Probably pretty okay. Again, it's still kind of a spooky fight. Actually, also, Dathus does not have... Ooh, yeah, 2 punches take down 2 targets immediately. And Dathus doesn't have that Leviathan. Gonna be a little trickier for him to get down this hook route. Realizing he's gonna need to, you know, probably pop that tent there, or at least heal the team up, and taking a moment to consider how he wants to get through this fight. Tella, of course, being a functional anchor, but this early in the game, Tella is not like the best of anchors. Our party is not kind of as optimized as it could be, though it tends to not be possible going down the hook routes. Those D-Lunars would want to see the battle speed dropped, I think. Meanwhile, Mecha getting just an Avenger for his troubles. Nobody can wear that on this team from Dwarf Castle, but we do get the Warp Glitch, which does give us the Earth Crystal. That's potentially huge.
I mean, even just for Treasury right now, especially because, as far as I've seen, armor-wise has not been very kind. That can definitely get you a couple of pieces to help out.
By the way, that Dwarf Castle means that this seed could have had Avenger Crystal Sword. Also, by the way, that Treasury is 18 more shots at Crystal Swords. Just putting that out there.
I mean, don't tempt me with a good time here.
Is it a good time? Is it really?
I mean, for us...
I guess it is for us, yeah.
I mean, at this point also gives Mecha a chance to take a few more checks here. Baron now becomes a possibility as well. You also do have the Treasury now, so you do have a few overworld checks that you should be able to breeze through pretty well now.
Yeah, and this validates Mecha's early fade of Baron. Getting that Earth Crystal means he can do the Zot check, which is going to drop you off at Baron when it's done, and able to get those 2 checks done. Sort of an efficiency play there. Might have even faded Baron in, now that I think about it, because then you kind of get this nice efficiency of being kind of dropped off at that location. So ends up working out pretty well for him. Great, that Treasury.
Great! That Treasury!
Count the Crystal Swords, come on. Oh, wow.
Avenger number 2. That one is for the mages, I think.
Yeah, it's some decent armor, a couple of
Zeus gauntlets.
Yeah, I'd say that was pretty nice for your armor setup. Also a couple Stardust Rods too.
I mean, 2 Stardust Rods. It was like a black shirt.
I think there was a white shirt in
if
there.
You didn't have it. White shirt. Honestly, for this team, pretty decent Treasury. Unfortunately, that edge is sort of Edge got Zeus gauntlets, but otherwise he's like, where's my weapons game? Hello, please?
You know, sometimes you'll see seeds and T-Wallers that are specifically designed for Edge. This so far is not one of them.
No, and with Sineki, I think our restreamer did correct that he started with a Fire Claw this seed, and we've got maybe Middle Sword. I'm not even sure what Mute Dagger at this point.
Yeah,
it's not great.
That's about it. I don't even think we've seen Long Swords yet.
Yeah, not from Mecha.
Although I think Dathus might have a Ninja Sword.
Yeah, a Ninja Sword. He did get a Power Shirt from the hidden room in the front of Waterfall that Mecha did fade. So yeah, Mecha's on Silver Middle, which, I mean, it's not great. It's obviously not great, but I think we're on mage strategies for like the Moon and Endgame here. So I think it's gonna end up being okay. And yeah, no Mute Dagger from Mecha. Oh yeah, that Mute Dagger came from the Chocobo Forest outside Mysidia, that's right.
Ah, that's right. Well, remember all those eggs that we bought with that Crystal Sword? I think it's time to use them.
Yeah, Play I Love coming immediately out of the hook route. Just pop a couple of eggs and get immediate power. Of course, those eggs do have exactly 2,000 health. And with the Yellow Dragon now, every time we hit it, it is going to respond with a Thunder attack, which is does not really spark joy. Kind of just short on damage here.
One of them.
Yep. It's 1,800. It's exactly. Yeah, I knew it was an exact number, so it's exactly 1,800 hit points. After one of these goes down, we tend to get a pile of levels off of it, and then it'll just get easier to kill these eggs.
Yeah. Well, Dath is only looking to do one for now, just probably to get a couple extra levels going into at least a couple of these underground bosses like the Dwarf Castle ones he is about to go and deal with.
Yeah, I love like a couple of eggs coming down the hook route. You get like 5 levels for maybe a minute's worth of time. Really absolutely worth to do in my opinion. Meanwhile, Mecha finding the evil wall at the Maga Sisters spot. It's kind of an annoying spot. It takes all the hit points of the Maga Sisters and coalesces it into one pile of like 8,000 or 9,000 hit points. Doesn't really hit too hard though. Not going to be so much of a problem, just a bit of a time sink.
Yeah, and that continues. The boss is being taken off the table here as we still sit at 2 out of 7 here, about 45 minutes in. So it's starting to make that Darkness Crystal becoming a much bigger play because, again, that larger collection of bosses might be a big part of this now.
Yeah, especially since with the Earth Crystal and Baron Key both out of the pool, that represents, what, 5 bosses that could be in the seed, and we've hit on, so far, none of them. We still have the Zot 2 boss to see. Mecha now knows that Baigen is the Golbez boss spot, has that information. Still likely to do it if he hasn't already. Actually, no, he did, right? Because that's how he got the Earth Crystal, never mind. But yeah. Gonna get one more shot at that Zot 2 boss. Also, Piggy meta.
I don't know the meta.
I know it, but I don't remember it super well. These are white-eared pig. I want to say this means it's a red robe or a sparkle. So this sparkle could be one of our bosses.
I mean, I think Pale Dim's the only one that we haven't seen now, so.
Yep. And instead, it's Vanilla Val.
How many more times are we going to be talking about vanilla here? The amount of ice cream that I'm craving now by the end of the seed is just getting higher and higher as this goes on.
I bought vanilla ice cream last night, and it's just sitting in my freezer waiting for me. Like, a part of me wants to like sneak away and just grab vanilla ice cream. I'm not going to do that, but you know, like if I go dead silent for a moment, I'm grabbing ice cream. I promise I won't do that.
You can always hope for a twin harp to show up sooner than later. That brings the opportunity, right?
That's true. Yeah. While music plays, that's very true. All right, we need music immediately now. Val has a funny quirk in the randomizer, by the way. There's a bug. She has no magic defense and no evade here. She's just sort of, her typical thing just sort of doesn't really work here. So able to take the fight down pretty easily.
Which is amusing considering that this is the vanilla spot.
It might be a quirk because I want to say without Kayn, there's like some dialogue about how you're supposed to go in tornado form. She might even respond even nastier than she normally does. So that might be part of why that works that way in the randomizer.
Well, both of our runners have finished their dungeons of choice here. Dathus will be seeing the warp glitch leading to, I think that was the Earth Crystal. I don't think Dwarf Castle gave anything.
It was an Avenger to let you know that Crystal Avenger was in the seed, and that Earth Crystal, which is going to lead to another Avenger.
Oh, and hey, there's finally an edge weapon.
That's a great edge weapon, but that was a huge zonk. It shows up early enough in the seed, you're going to assume your opponent does the warp glitch with the tele, that you don't feel too bad about it. But
yeah, it's also a treasury raid, so you assume that there's no way your opponent doesn't do this, so it's probably a zonk you're okay with.
Yeah, but that nothing sandwich I named when the seed started, we're still sort of in that scenario.
Yeah, and then at the same time too, Mechalink hasn't checked that Feymarch freebie. If Dathus takes a look down there and happens to find 2 bosses that we're looking for, that's a potential to kind of get a bit ahead. Although, again, catching up can happen if you're taking those zonks too.
I like fading the Feymarch when you've got other stuff to do initially, because if we find required bosses down there, imagine what they are. It's Paladin at Leviathan, it's Odin at either of those spots, it's Karate, who we don't have a way to script kill. Especially Karate at the Leviathan spot, who punches and then AoE kicks every other, that's the script. That's a very nasty fight. That's kind of like fighting mini DKC. And even Baigen and Friends, Mylon and Friends, that might be the easiest of them. But basically, all those fights are not trivial, and by waiting, you get to... I'm sorry. We've bought 90 carrots, and 99. Then 9 carrots.
There we go.
Thank you, Dathus. Just completely lost my train of thought. My brain is just carrots. Oh, yes. Going down the Feymarch. I like waiting so you gain more power, more levels, so you can actually take those bosses down when you first get down there. Also, yes, carrots.
If we're continuing the meme train, I think we're about to get a Job Dwarf.
If this Job Dwarf has anything to do with carrots, I will lose it. It's probably not possible, but,
I mean, if it's a farmer, is that close enough?
I think that's close enough, yes. Is that his vanilla? What's his vanilla job?
That is a great question.
It might be farmer, actually. Yeah, farmer is vanilla. Which I have to say, I've never seen. I'm not sure it's possible. Alright, we're getting that Job Dwarf, Chuck.
I know Dathus, he's going to intentionally avoid it for a minute.
He's going to avoid it. Oh, okay, he didn't. Animal Keeper.
I mean, if you carry rabbits, yeah.
It's kind of a farmer, right? Like, that's part of a farmer's job.
We're just trying to justify the meme just that much more at this point.
Yeah. What kind of animals? What kind of animals does a dwarf handle? What are the animals down here?
I mean, I guess are those rock armadillos down here?
Yes, they are. It's like rock armadillos and like the fire version of those lizards. I don't know if it's black liz or some sort of lizard is down here. Oh, the eggs. Oh no. He tends the yellow dragon eggs. That's what this is. Yes. Oh, it's his farm that we're destroying every seed? Oh. Kind of feel bad now. It's that Job Dwarf's farm with the sirens and the eggs that surprise you, even though they're right in front of you. Oof. Just a Stardust Rod for the Feymarch freebie. This continues to be like nothing upon nothing.
And unbeknownst to Dathus, that Earth Crystal is going to house 2 more of those, so that freebie chest, well...
Shout out to the shop with just Succubus in it.
Look, carrying only the most important of goods.
Succubus in the shop letting you know that the seed kind of sucks.
Yeah. We finally get a basement check, and it's Blue Gaze, so unless the item is important here, Baron is a complete zonk.
Opts not to do it for the moment. Don't blame him. We're kind of running out of stuff to do. I would have been pretty interested in taking that boss on. It is a K summon spot. Dathus, meanwhile, seeing that Feymarch, finds the robe on the right and the Golbez on the left. That's a double required Feymarch.
Yeah, and getting set up for that Golbez fight now, sizing everybody down. Or at least sizing the two that he wants.
We've seen Mylon Zed. Mylon wanted you to fall down the ravine of the Outlying Cave, so we know this is Mylon and friends. Golbez is in the much worse position for him. We are piggying and mining up because there is a priority status. There's a priority system for statuses in this game. They cannot all be applied at, well, they could be applied at once, but basically if we're minied or piggied, the paralyze effect of the Shadow Dragon cannot take effect, giving us time to put up a Star Veil to reflect Golbez, where all he does is cast spells. However, this spell power is pathetic. He cannot kill himself off of his own spells. You have to do the bulk of the work.
So even with the Star Veils up, there is still some work to be done here. This is not a free fight like you would see with a Wyvern or a Bahamut fight. This is going to definitely take a little more work.
We've only got the one Zerker. Dathus does not have that Masamune. I guess he's got Ninja and a Mute Dagger or something like that, which is okay, but I'm not sure I've seen Bacchus in the seed either. And we didn't steal any. Bacchus being the only way to pierce through the Star Veil once you have it up, otherwise the Berserk spell would be reflected. So, I mean, our damage options, especially with Edge and I want to say Porum, I'm actually sure who that top character is. We need like a mage to survive, I think. Yeah, that's Porum. Fireclaw at the very least gonna exploit Golbez's fire weakness, but I mean it's not really. It's enough damage. I mean, I guess that Lit 3 actually is doing something at 2k, but
yeah, you're gonna eventually get through. It's just gonna take quite some time here.
Yeah, the main problem, not problem, the main concern is that eventually the walls can fall off, and you sort of have to pay attention. And yeah, we see. Oh, and it's going to be hard to tell. So we're trying to go into the item menu. We could see the wall status and party members when we're queuing up a white magic spell or a curative. But that Piggy Mini status is sort of taking priority. It's a little hard to tell when these walls are going to fall off.
Mechalink, meanwhile, opting to choose the Mylon fight first before going into Golbez.
I like this for Mechalink because he's got that Leviathan. Between Leviathan and Quake, take the moment to blink some party members up first, but Mylon, those lit ones can hurt our lower hit point party members since the spell power here is very, very high, but doesn't punch very often. Actually only punches once all his zombies are down too, so I think this is ironically the easier fight. And yeah, we see Porum go down on the left side here. A little spooky.
Dathus did get the second Star Veil up though, so it might just be a matter now of
holding
will that
it.
one hold out?
I think holding A, it should be okay now.
And the interesting part now is going to be looking at these two bosses and saying, is this where the Darkness Crystal comes in, and is this where things get tipped? It is very possible the Keyless Tower might be the play here, depending on how the items shake out as well.
Yeah, 2 shots at items down here, and you have to do them for objectives. So, item number 1.
Somewhere, there is also a Puff Queen that is just scowling at this seed right now.
Well, Dathus does have 99 carats, I want to point out.
I mean, she'll also be able to take this out on our runners, as that race will be in just about an hour's time as well, so hey.
For folks who are just listening in, that was the Golbez spot, which is the Leviathan spot. Golbez out Leviathan. There, I said it better. Had a crystal sword as a reward. It was an objective, so like you had to do it, but you know, this is what crystal sword number 3 on the scene.
Yeah, it's the fact that we've seen 3 already, and there is still so much more time.
And Dathus, with that first crystal sword said, I've got a whistle, it's going in that chocobo immediately. Wait, no.
Okay,
No.
so Fey March apparently is now the new maker of holy swords.
Mylan and friends in the Ashura spot had an Excalibur to finish the meme, to complete the meme circle. The circuit is complete.
I changed my mind. It's not Oscar who's scowling. There is a Cecil not in the sea that is just furious and throwing tables all across the room right now.
No, Cecil's like drinking wine somewhere, just kind of chilling, being like, yeah, I'm not dealing with that.
Maybe we should go back to the Troya bar and just kind of see if he's okay over there. It is so poetic that a Dathus race has this amount of memery. I am here for this.
Someone in chat saying four-armed Cecil is so annoyed right now. That's just got my brain on Gilgamesh, and I'm just imagining Gilgamesh, armed with all the crystal swords.
Almost we're ready perfectly for forearms. We need one more crystal to max this meme out. That's the key here.
Yes.
I now desperately need to see a pan.
So that the pan can turn into more holy swords?
Yeah, we need the sylphs to give us another crystal. That's all. That's it.
And then once we get to the moon, where we have to do the bosses that are remaining, we'll get more crystal swords?
Yeah, and I mean, oh man, now with what's left, there are three. I think we have three options left. Either of Keyless Tower, you have Barren Basement, because Mechalink didn't do that, or you have Fabul Defense, which is still yet to be touched. I mean, unless Sheila 1 as well, actually, because you can activate that from Sylph Cave 2.
Imagine if Darkness was that Fabul Defense this whole time.
Ooh. I mean, look.
Spooky.
Look. I tend not to fade Fabul. There might be a reason on this seed. I would appreciate that, along with everything else the seed has thrown at us so far. So this will be the first one to complete both bosses down here, and we'll see what the next decision is. I would assume following up with Zot.
Yeah, likewise. While our runners are cleaning up, go follow our restreamer and tracker. By the way, we got Xenocat doing the restreaming. We got Fried Potato. Yes, I promise it says potato. Doing the tracking. Super appreciated. Can't have a restream without these folks. And follow our runners, Dathus and Mechalink, both long-standing members of the community. Dathus known as a restreamer and memer extraordinaire, which is why this seed is so particularly funny. And Mechalink, just long-standing, very technical, skilled runner. Of course, both runners very skilled, pretty evenly matched up here. It's been a great time so far. And of course, go follow my co-coms, CS Radical. Pretty amazing guy.
At your own risk.
At your own risk.
But yeah, Dathus will be checking the Sylphs to get that Sheila 1 activated, so very possible Fabul might be his first stop. May still go to Zot first and then go to Fabul afterwards, but you could chain both pretty easily. Not to mention, if you actually, you know what? If you want to really optimize it, you can do Fabul right now, chain that into Zot, and then you'll go right to Barren Basement if you still somehow don't have that Darkness Crystal after all this.
Yeah, I think I like the Fabul check first. Fabul Defense first may give the pan, which would feel the worst, but you do that first just in case you get the pan out of it. Or the Twin Harp, then turn in Sheila 1, and then if you get the Twin Harp, you could decide if you want to take that on, if you want to do the full Twin Harp into Zot, into Barren Basement kind of play. Really just depends where that Darkness is. Yep, Dathus is heading to Chocobo Forest beside Fabul. We all know what's about to happen here. But first, a heroin robe. And an inventory boss. Wait, no, go back. Oh, denied. So there's a big chocobo in there, and we've got carrots. I was pretty certain Dathus was about to feed a crystal sword to that chocobo. Aw.
I don't know. There may be a possibility that Dathus has looked at the scene and went, all right, well played. I guess I'll have to cooperate now.
Yeah.
We'll see what Mechalink does now as well.
I would imagine setting up First, a little bit of shopping, but I imagine he's also going to set up Sheila 1. Maybe interested in top of tower first, but I think that I think Fabul is looming a bit too hard, so he's probably also going to do Sheila 1 into and Sheila 1 and Fabul defense.
Don't fade Fabul.
There's the Paladin. All right, so that's one more boss. Only 2 of 3 left after this.
I mean, I was really hoping for either the absolute memes that would be Yang invading himself or the Gauntlet for vanilla, but hey, I'll still take this. I'm sure our runners will too. So after being at 2 of 7 for a while, we've quickly shot up to 5 now.
Yep, that tends to happen in these seeds, I find. You know, a lot of bosses end up hiding and then suddenly you run into more and more of them. Only a rune axe out of Fabul defense. That fate is very justified. I mean, yeah, there was the boss that was there, but the reward didn't lead to any progression. Nobody actually could even wear that rune axe. So Sheila 1 or Baron Basement is about what we're left with here.
And Keyless Tower.
Or Keyless Tower. And there's the tower key that's going to bring us to the tower.
Now it's really
one more shot at the boss.
If he wants to go to Zot and possibly basement first, or if he goes back down to the tower, if he's following that chain potentially.
Hard to say. They're both very tempting. Earth Crystal represents 2 bosses. Tower Key represents 1 boss.
And the third Crystal Sword.
Yeah,
we hardly knew
yeah. I mean, fair enough. Get all the money that you can. The 2 Excals waiting to be guarded.
There's plenty of time for another.
There is plenty of time for another. Notably, the Light Sword, the 2 Excals, the Avenger, the second Avenger if he does the Treasury, those are all very amazing darts for Edge.
Yeah, Edge will be very well equipped for if you have an emergency fight, like, you know, a Masa Gauntlet potentially if that comes across, or, you know, just saving it all the way to Z where you can really get a nice start in that fight.
Mecha setting up a save in front of the lower Babel knows that it's really only Sheila 1, Fabul defense, or Keyless Tower at this point, has set up a save scum so that if Fabul defense and Sheila 1 have nothing, he could save the flight time, zip immediately back to Keyless Tower and run up that. Of course, we know the tower key is going to come from Sheila 1, but that just explains why he did that.
And Dathus is about to go raid that treasury as well and find out that, you know, there's a few things here.
Question from chat. Are weapon equips randomized so Sid can't equip the rune axe? That is a good point. Sid can wear the rune axe. Sid not in Mechalink's party. Don't think Sid is in Dathus' party unless he is.
I think he kept the
Not
Sid?
exactly remembering now. He might have kept the Sid. Okay, so the Sid actually could wear that rune axe. I take that back. The only setting that can randomize equipment wearing is we have an Omnidextrous flag, and that is additive, not subtractive. Omnidextrous is a wacky that says anyone can equip anything, basically.
Now here's the ultimate question on Dathus' side. What do you think's been the biggest, thorn in his side in this seed? Has it been the Crystal Swords, or has it been the Inventory Boss? Because I believe that's the 3rd time now.
Inventory Boss is real. It is one of the worst bosses in the game. Good old Final Fantasy IV, very limited ROM memory, inventory, not very large. I believe that's why this game has the big chocobo, the carrots, and the whistle, because it was their solution to not being able to offer kind of a limitless inventory supply like Final Fantasy V and VI can. So it's a place to store your items away. But of course, in a randomizer where we're trying to go fast, in a randomizer race, that is, you know, those aren't really great storage options, so you just kind of have to manage that inventory very carefully.
Yeah, this is going to get very interesting very quickly now. With Dathus spending the time up here at Zot, we know that there's nothing of value up here, so this is just going to be really a time sink now. Although the treasury has definitely helped a little bit. Mechalink now has a chance to go on a bit of an exploration here and get a little bit ahead, and if they follow, it's potential that they could follow for the rest of this, because the seed's kind of given them a very limited scope of where to go at this point.
Yeah, it's been very directed. It's been rather linear. Yeah, there's a little bit variation here and there, but without that darkness showing up early, these late darkness seeds tend to be very linear. I don't blame Dathus for doing Zot at this point. You've kind of put it off for a while, but now it representing two bosses and a chance at that darkness where places that darkness exists are dwindling. Really don't blame him for doing this, but we know that it's going to be out of either top of tower or the cannon room at this point.
Yep.
And yeah, I would agree with that, chat. I think the inventory management lends some interesting skill expressing bits to this randomizer. Honestly, a lot of the odd technical bits to this game, the fact that agility is a thing, the ATB system having been implemented the way it was in early SNES days, meaning that we get this like agility anchor thing, and agility is a weird thing in general, which we haven't really talked about. But like there are a lot of odd technical quirks that make running this game quickly, I find very interesting.
Yeah, you can definitely see with some of our runners that have really nailed down the inventory management, just like how honestly like difficult a skill it is to acquire. It's not something that just comes naturally. It's really something that a lot of time can really help our runners with. It's something that I'm still nowhere close to mastering and may never in my case, but to those I can do it. It's incredible to watch.
Yeah, I mean it's very much a function of time and of intention practice, as is a lot of really any skill expressing thing, right? It's time spent practicing, learning muscle memory, learning to do things without having to think too hard about what you're doing. And of course, it's also the amount of time investment that you want to put in. I mean, this game is still essentially a niche of a niche. And one of my favorite things about our community is that I think you can really put in as little or as much time as you want. And depending on that investment into your skill, you will be rewarded. You'll either be rewarded running our tournaments for high skill play, or you'll be rewarded participating in our club season and our asyncs, and just being part of a community where skill is not necessarily of utmost importance. A lot of variety in how you want to interact with this community, even just playing for fun, or even just being around for fun without playing so much.
Absolutely. Mechalink, the pan is finally a thing now, so that is suddenly 2 more item checks. It feels like at this point, especially once Super Cannon is done, that, well, you gotta wonder if darkness is coming here. Like, it seems so unlikely at this point that it's at Barren Basement. There's just so many more opportunities left here. And oh, hey, there's our, wait a minute, this is kind of also vanilla-ish.
Is this vanilla in like a weird swap? This
might actually be chocolate. This is kind of opposite vanilla now.
Yeah. This is like the reverse vanilla. Yeah, I'll agree with chocolate. Of course, Yang normally saving the cannon room from the Dark Imps in here, and kind of the loss of Yang as a party member, but instead controlling the cannon instead. Reverse switcheroo.
Now here's what I want to see. I want to see a darkness, but I want to see a package in here as well. Or a Luca key, something cheeky, or a twin harp. I want our runners to go, ooh, do I face check the moon, or does my opponent suddenly get cheeky, check one of these things, and that ends up being true?
And it would be a very sticky situation, because there's what, 5 or 6 bosses total on that moon, including the K value, versus
you're looking at 8 total.
Yeah, versus and 2 on the giant, versus just the one, quote unquote, just the one out of the twin harper package.
Yep. Or
very spicy.
Like there is some very interesting possibilities with these 3 key items that we're about to get over the course of the next couple of minutes here on Mechalink's side first, and then followed by Dathus. This could be very spicy.
Yep. All right. What is from the cannon room? Just a white shirt. So wait, Sheila gave us the tower.
Yeah, we got 2 more chances. Yeah, that's right. Okay, sorry.
So Sheila gave us a tower key to run to the tower to grab a pan, ultimately from the top of tower, by the way. And the tower key itself had just the white shirt. I find that deeply amusing.
Look, Yang needs to put a freaking shirt on. That was the whole point. He needs to A, wake up, and B, put a shirt on. He needs to get dressed.
I mean, he can keep his shirt off, but that's fair. There's the pan bonk.
All right, come on. Give us one of those three.
Or crystal sword.
That too.
Artemis arrows.
So we now have a 50-50 shot of darkness, or it's going to be a barren basement. Unless it's a twin harp or a Luca, or I guess a twin harp would be the only possibility. A twin harp that somehow so could chain to it. Ooh, this could be fun.
Yeah. So there's a little quirk with the key item randomness. Just the way that we've implemented Free Enterprise, the K main checks are weighted a little higher as possible key items, and the K moon and summon checks are weighted a little bit lower, and that Odin Throne is a K summon check as it rewards vanilla Odin summon. So the Sheila 2 check being K main is like a little higher weighted, but I mean, like, at this point we really don't know until now.
Yes. Choose wisely.
Odin Throne or Twin Harp. Choose your opponent.
Xenocat, you have outdone yourself today.
I'm betting Mechalink goes to the Odin Throne, personally.
And the other interesting thing too is, no,
this is a boss though. No, he's gonna run Twin Harp.
That makes perfect sense. I was about to say, because there is always a possibility that the moon is completely useless here if Twin Harp happens to have that.
This does represent a long check though. This I've never really timed this, but it is multiple minutes to run down, have the cutscene, actually a couple cutscenes, experience music, experience the boss, then finally get to the key items. So if Dathus chooses not to do Twin Harp and it's in the barren basement, I mean, this is a huge inflection point right now.
I mean, I would be shocked if Dathus doesn't, because I feel like Dathus, with the memory that he's already done, would immediately go to Harp to be a person of the people. But man, this could be really interesting, especially what if Twin Harp gives you Luca Key?
Oh no, and then Luca gives you nothing. That would be the worst case scenario, obviously. Or no, the Luca gives you no boss, obviously. We have the warp glitch, so we know it can't be anything, but
yeah.
Luca could have your extra boss, and then it's like, that would be really something.
That would really weigh on you because you've chased this chain as far as you have. Stopping at that point.
I think that would be one of the few cases where in for a penny, in for a pound statistically is the wrong play. Only because of how bad the odds are at the Luca check. Now, then again, Luca, between the flight time, getting down there, getting to the boss, it's probably like a minute to a minute and a half just to see it. So not that long, but I mean, a minute and a half in these races that get so close is a lifetime. Anyways, meanwhile, music.
Yeah, we can take a minute and a half off. So go get your ice cream. We'll listen to some music, and we'll be right back with you.
It would melt if I grabbed it, so I'm just gonna, yeah. That is not go mode for Mechalink. Karat in chat letting us know that was Xenogears, the Shavat theme from Xenogears. Shout out to Xenocat for all these amazing harp songs, by the way. And also Calamity for the harp songs, kind of earlier in the free end world. And that is our Darkness access. Validated going to the Twin Harp, whereas Dathus has run to the Odin Throne, which we know... Okay, he hadn't seen the boss, sees Luge, says, no, I'm not going to do that right now. Probably gonna turn on that pan afterwards as it was on the way, and then run to that twin harp, as it'll be the last thing left for him.
At this point, Mechalink is now in the driver's seat. It's just a matter of figuring out where one of these two bosses are.
So we are in very heavy face check mode. There is a world that the package and Luca both gate the Alt Gauntlet and the Odin boss. In that world, we'll have to continue to grab key items on the moon, but it's very unlikely. So what we're going to see both our runners do is do a lot of face checking, a lot of safe scumming. You check the entire Luna subterrane, then you check the giants, and then if none of that turns up, then you start doing key items.
And I just have to note that once again, I get to conspiracize about how potentially we might be looking at a Masa Gauntlet again. And that makes me so happy.
Masa Gauntlet with this team, kind of spooky.
I mean, Masa Gauntlet with almost any team is kind of spooky. Maybe a little less spooky with some, but it is always a gauntlet that, unless you're power overwhelming by a lot, is still a very irritating gauntlet to take on.
Absolutely. Dathus with a little bit of a parking jam, by the way. Dropping the Falcon off at Troya, then doing Zod, brings you to Baron Castle, abandoning that ship, has to park a little bit away. And fun little fact, by the way, that bridge that gets you access to the Troya town is not vanilla. We've added that in as a little quality of life, so you kind of don't get stuck. There's a chocobo forest that you can grab, and the chocobos can go over the river, but it's like not very obvious that you can do that, so I'm glad that we added that little bridge there.
Yeah, definitely something that over the years has been done for this game to make it just so much more approachable in many, many different ways. So always kind of appreciative to see quality of life adjustments like that.
Yeah, I love the quality of life adjustments in this ROM hack randomizer, because it's also the double movement speed, the menu animation times are much faster. If you ever play vanilla after this, after you've played the randomizer a long time, it just menus even take forever to like open and move around. Just finding the orbs at cave value, not the boss we need. Going to continue face checking. And another quality of life also is that lunar whale normally cannot drop down in the kind of rocky terrain. You normally have to run around like the lunar path. I'm using my finger to point, and you can't see it, but you have to kind of like go like up left, kind of around. But in the randomizer, you can just drop down in front of the Crystal Palace.
It's funny you mentioned that. I played the vanilla before I came into this community, and I was very upset after about doing maybe almost double-digit seats before I realized I could land in not that area.
Same, hard same.
Well, we know
Ooh,
cave
the
value
HP
left us
ran
with
out.
nothing, so we are now LST running here. There is always a possibility, like you said, that it's gated behind package Luca Key. Could also be completely gated behind the giant, too.
But as a Mechalink continues to face check bosses, and if he does find Go mode, I will call that out, but we are going to get a reprise of the Shivat theme from Xenogears.
Well, you were ready to potentially call a Go mode, but we decided it was grind time instead.
Yeah, the King Ryus are also called the Gold Dragons. from a they're called King Ryus because of a kind of like funny translator quirk. But the gold dragons without an hourglass are actually like kind of rude. They deal a good amount of damage, and they react to damage by paralyzing party members, which doesn't always hit, but when it hits, it's pretty annoying, like that edge getting paralyzed. Yeah, really only getting that pile of experience. I mean, on probably the two party members you really needed it on with the two mages trying to get to nuke here, but I think I would have liked seeing some eggs popped before coming to the moon instead. But we're here, and Mecha is going to make it work.
Yep, and now with Dathus with his Darkness Crystal, you gotta wonder too with how lengthy the seed has been, just really not carrying you to anywhere that you've been wanting to be. If our runners might have a little bit of panic going on here, and it looks like Dathus may actually be doing some more eggs.
Yeah, I like the egg play a little bit more, especially since with Mecha doing these gold dragons now is also going to have to commit to killing this Murasame altar fight, because you don't want to give up the experience that you've made here. So if this isn't the Alt Gauntlet or the Odin fight, it will be just a little bit annoying since we're in face check mode. And also, if this is the Alt Gauntlet exactly at the Murasame altar, you like single grind. How do you like double grind?
That is always a distinct possibility. You know, if you really look at it, I mean, is it the worst situation? Because it just means that Z fight's going to just be that just a little less stressful.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Also, Porm living with 1 hit point. Well done. Can't keep a good white mage down.
On the flip side, it still means stress of a Masa Gauntlet. So, you know, it's kind of an either or.
Masa Gauntlet is a thing. Masa Gauntlet is, it's a trial of, it's awful. For folks who don't know, Radical, what does the Masamune Alt Gauntlet offer for runners?
Aside from pain and suffering, I mean, I suppose, you know, you have, I don't know the specific order, but there are evil masks, which are not fun. There is a behemoth fight, which is honestly, underratedly, very not fun. You also have a couple of fights with red dragons. I think one of them is with a single, and then one's with 2 of them. But you may know the exact order.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And actually, I want to say in that order too. And the evil masks and the behemoth and the red dragons all require different strategies. And behemoths especially are annoying because you really need to be slow anchored in that fight, which means you have a low agility party member in the middle. And the behemoths are coded really to be only reactionary. They react to damage, but when you have a slow agility anchor, you make the behemoths fast. They basically double punch. It's very nasty.
Yeah, in the vanilla game, for those who've forgotten, behemoths, they're forced fights, and yeah, they're fun, in quotations, fun.
Fun is a word. It's an F word. I might use a different. Wouldn't be safe for restream. To answer a question in chat, great question. What is the reason for casting life on a dead enemy? Now, we did get an answer in chat, but we do have YouTube viewers. Hi, YouTube. Always love to shout you out. We really appreciate you. Casting life or using a life potion on a dying enemy is a glitch in this game, where when the enemy is dying and you throw a life potion at them or cast a life spell at them, you revive them, but because of how the game essentially is coded, they come back with 0 hit points, die immediately, and are counted as another kill. So essentially every life glitch is like, for this fight, it's 2 King Ryus instead of 1.
So it suddenly turns a fight that is normally, with the double XP here, 100, I believe 120,000 into 180,000, which is a massive difference.
Yep, kind of taking advantage of the randomizer is designed so that at 10 key items, you get double the experience from encounters. Also, this is why King Ryus are very gross. Mechalink's entire party is down. We have to psych to get MP back, but most enemies have enough magic defense that psych does not really do what you want it to, only gets 1 MP, also has a long delay. Rita gets paralyzed from the psych as a reaction. Left by herself, needs to unparalyze. Very well defended here, but this is a bit spooky.
Is scary.
Mecha could lose his entire grind and about, I want to say like 5 minutes of it.
Yeah, this is very scary right now. Luckily,
We
the
need to-
physical attacks aren't doing much of anything, but those blitzes, if they keep coming.
We need to get back to the Tower of Wishes. Let's get Mecha through this fight. Rydia gets up. What are we gonna do? Cure 3 to start. Just need to recover.
That'll be enough to at least hang in there for the time being, and then it's just a matter of trying to course correct here.
He can go towards Artie. Rydia not with a lot of strength. Still could do plenty with it. Gonna Ether 2 instead. That's why he went for the Psych. Needs NP on that Rydia.
And Entangle
Just
could
need to
make
get
this
through the fight.
extra annoying, though.
Yeah, so I think the safest thing, is to do that Leviathan. So I think Mecha's going to be safe. Thankfully, that Paralyze wore off just in time. But this is giving Dathus time to catch up, taking on this grind here.
And especially if Dathus decides to go bottom up, this might also be a chance to potentially cover some ground here.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. We don't really know what's at the Murasame altar yet, but Mecha's got to take time, pick up his party. We're still not done with this grind. We don't have MP. Well, I mean, we have Ether 2s at least. Porum also notoriously does not get Cure 4 until like level 42 or something. He says, all right, I need to stop this grind. It's become dangerous. I just need to go. We're going to take on whatever's at the Murasame altar. And it is our Go mode. That is Odin at the Murasame altar. That is one of our 2 required bosses.
Now, I think in Mechalink's case, you may still be seeing a little bit more grinding afterwards, but at least you know you're done with bosses.
You are done. It's a little spooky. We spent 5 minutes on that grind. We do need to kill. We have access to the Lit 3s, and I think that's a Thunderclaw Masamune, so we've got very good damage. I think we're going to be okay, but it's like, ooh, little bit of a butt clench moment for me. There goes the sword up. I mean, Lit 3 is going to do another quad 9. I think this is done. Yep. Mecha's through. Chat saying that that's a Fire Claw. Masamune is still, yeah, I guess it's fair. 2,000 damage. It's just the Masamune is really strong with the Zeus Gauntlet. But yep, that is the crystal for Mechalink. Dathus really depends where Dathus goes from here. Cave value is not going to have it.
So it really will be a matter if he goes, because at this point you need to be going top down because Gauntlet will take a long time to go through. So
yeah, Dathus, to be in the race, Dathus is likely going to need top down. Now, Mecha is not done with his grind. He can choose to be done. It would be very spooky to do so, Porum not having that Cure 4 yet. And yeah, Mecha is going to go back. I think he's going to probably take some eggs on to get his party to nuke.
Yeah,
and then he is going to be done with the seed. Yeah. Unfortunately, that was a long time sink into that grind, though. I don't know. This is going to be close, Radical.
Yeah, it really will depend on how much time Mecha needs to grind. If Dathus does go top down, that's going to be the key here. If Dathus immediately passes and goes for the bottom first, that will give Mechalink plenty of time to work with here.
Yeah, I mean, if Mecha doesn't complete the grind... Okay, we're in the Tower of Wishes. Mecha wants to swap party members out. Who are we going for? It is Yang and Sid in the tower for him. Wants that Sid.
Dathus is going top. Okay. We have a race.
Okay. All right, we have a race. Dathus going to find his go mode with the Odin at the Murasame altar. Mecha not happy with his Tela anchor. Tela maybe having gained too many levels. Tela once at endgame levels actually gets surprisingly fast, like Fusoya levels of fast. So Sid is just a much safer anchor, especially if he has that Dwarf axe, I want to say, showed up somewhere kind of early-ish game. But yeah, needs to come down, take on some eggs, and finish off his grind. He could fight with just the Masamune Zerk, but I think you just need to get to double nukes here.
So Edge with the Thunderclaw and Dathus' side, going to get him berserked ASAP.
A little spooky. This is fast anchored with an edge. If we have a Silk Web, could be okay, but we've got so much power. I think it's not going to matter too much. It just needs to survive. Yeah, okay.
That's
all the damage
over
is
and
out.
done
We're
quickly.
good.
Well, Dathus is probably going to go straight here. This is going to be really close depending on how many eggs Mechalink wants to do here.
That's just Cure 4 for Palom. That means she's only about... Oh, sorry, it's 48, not 42. So we need 2 more levels on Rydia and, what, 4 more levels on the kids? That is... I want to say like 3 more eggs. That's another minute.
Ooh, this is going to be really tight now.
Dathus exiting. Needs the Lunar Whale cutscene. This is where it comes down to very, very minute things, by the way. Lunar Whale cutscene and then flying over to that pass room.
Yeah, at this point, it's going to be really all about execution from here on out.
And our runners don't know this. I mean, obviously, you know, when you're in a race, I mean, you don't know what your opponent's doing. You have no idea where your opponent is. You just know you're an hour, 32 minutes in. Your opponent's not done if you're watching the race room. And it's just like, I need to go.
Yep. And I mean, we're no strangers to really close races. We just had, I believe yesterday, or no, a couple days ago, a 6-second fight or 6-second race. So like, we might be seeing, depending on how the execution's done here from both of our runners, that this could be very close again. Dathus with some really nice levels, at least on the party that he is choosing to go through here. So, you know, presumably both of our runners should have a pretty... not like stressless time with a Z fight, but not nearly as stressful as it was if you were going with like high 30s. So
yeah, notably Dathus chose to keep that Sid instead of taking the Rydia, the extra mage. So gonna have to rely on only 1 nuke, 1 white, and those X-Cal darts, I would say, from Edge.
Yep.
Will make the reflect kill pretty viable without spending too much time on it. But mechas will be faster technically. But Mecha has to get through these eggs. Dathus heading over to Z. Suddenly, it's time to ask the question, what are these Z flags? What's going on here, Radical?
Well, Zero Miss is one of those fights that we'd love to put into the randomizer pool for bosses, but kind of a little too over the top for this. So instead, we decided that it would be awesome to change the sprite instead, because you still got to randomize something here. But with the flags up, there is a specific question that we usually like to ask on the show. It's actually become like 7 questions now, but the main one that we always like to ask as I break up my Macho Man for this one again. Whose butt are we gonna kick tonight?
Oh yeah. Snap into his aromas.
And is this Zemus the cream of the crop? All I know is Dathus has got him for at least 3 minutes. 3 minutes of playtime.
What is this? This is the very sultry version. I very much appreciate it.
Can you imagine if there was a Macho Man Randy Savage Z sprite? That would be so good.
That could be your new Z sprite if you want to put that in the pool as a suggestion. Or there are various ways to win Z sprites in this in our randomizer. Could be yours, but all right. So we've got Sin.
To answer other questions, well, there is no hat unless you count the city on its head. I suppose that could kind of double as a hat. Definitely not cute. Definitely not cute.
Is the entire city a hat? Is that what we're going with?
It could. I mean, could be.
Yeah, I think that's a hat. But yeah, Mecha having spent at least a good minute on those eggs, running in, taking the time to shop. Yeah, wants to grab a Silkwa, but it's spooky. It's every second's mattering now.
This might just on the verge of time, just might be Dathus's now. Just not because Mechalink won't be able to do this really, really well. It's just the time may not be there. It's so hard to tell, but like there is at least a good minute and a half window that Dathus has right now.
Yeah, so to explain what's going on with this fight, by the way, in Super Nintendo, early Super Nintendo world, memory limitations were a thing. These bosses could only have 65,000 hit points total. A way to get around that was to add a script that says when Zeromus takes any direct damage, he can refill his hit points at a certain point to have more like 100,000 hit points. But reflected damage does not trigger that script. So what we're trying to do is reflect all the damage that we can, so we only have to deal the 65-ish thousand hit points that the first part of Zeromus has. which is what we call the refill skip.
Yep. And I mean, the damage rolls right now that Dathus is running are super high.
Extremely high. I mean, we're white shirt, we're Stardust Rod, black shirt. We've got those Excals. If he's counting damage, this dart is a kill. It needs to be. No, it was a low roll.
Ooh.
We've done a lot of damage already. That's a shake. I'm not sure if we're at the point where that tipped or not. Yeah, no, so we've tipped. The direct damage has refilled Zemus' hit points. We're gonna have to deal with the second phase of the fight, which tends to be the same, except Zemus adds kind of like a nuke in there for funsies, his own nuke, I mean. But so we gotta recover. Hope Porum doesn't die, barely lives to that counter nuke. And then Edge is zerked up because we gotta deal the damage. No, but Porum is gonna go down because of that big bang.
Depending on the roll, Palom may as well.
This could be Mechalink's fight. This refill skip for Mecha is going to go much faster at this point. Unfortunately, that nuke missing. Zemus has like an immunity because of the crystal, and Zemus kind of needs to take a turn to drop that immunity bit. That's why
Palom is going to go down as well.
miss.
I think the HP is about to lower on Palom end too. So
yeah, the HP sap from the Big Bang. Porum gets healed.
Is suddenly very spooky. I mean, there was a time that Dathus had here, but with this fight kind of just not going the way that you would want it to, this could be really interesting now.
Yeah, there's the nuke that goes out. Perfect target. Sid needs to survive. Does not survive. Sid drops. Porum's casting Berserk.
This
not
is
going to have a lot of time.
Very uncooperative here on Dathus' side. This is now a chance for Mechalink to really make up this ground, and then
we do not have time. This is a problem. If we cure 4, the shake's gonna come out. Okay, good. We're at rocks. Dathus recognizing Brock's dodge, by the way, by both party members, gets a cure 4 on Edge. Edge is gonna survive. We're gonna get through this fight. It's just a matter of if Mecha is gonna win in time.
How much help do we need here? Oh boy.
12,000 hit points once we're at rocks. There's the Meteos spending time with the animation.
Come on, let's see.
Tier 3 also spending time. And that's it. Dathus is done with the seed. Waiting on Mechalink.
We were just talking about a 6-second difference with an earlier race, and this is very close as well.
All right, so I think enough time here has passed. We likely can call Dathus as the winner of this race.
Wow, what a fantastic race.
We'll, of course, wait for official race spot time.
Unbelievable.
And we are joined by Dathus. GG's, Dathus.
GG's, guys.
Unbelievable finish.
What a finish.
I saw the me getting the dot done like right before Mecha, and he'd been typing in the chat beforehand, and I was like, okay, so I resigned myself, and this was a big shock, to be completely honest.
You were both in the Zemus fight at the same time. It's going to come down to, I think it'll be interesting for you to watch back and see the differences. A lot of close, some divergence, but ultimately all in line with each other. The major difference at the end is Mecha took a grind off of Gold Dragons, kind of went a bit sideways for them, whereas you took on those eggs instead. Kind of ends up being the difference here, I think.
Yeah,
very well done.
We're looking at about like a minute and a half difference here, and we were mentioning that going into the Z fight, Dathus, that you had about that much of a window, and we were wondering just how that fight would go, and it seemed like it was actually getting really close there at the end, with you having a real struggle there at the end with a bunch of your people going down, but managed to pull it out in there. How are you feeling during especially that second half of that Z fight?
So the second half of the Z fight basically went exactly as I anticipated it to, as I saw it going, with Porum getting hit by that counter nuke when I was trying to get the elixir off on her. And I looked at Palom and I just thought, I should, in theory, be elixiring you to keep you up to make this go a little faster. That's, if I was to redo the fight at all, it would be that. Aside from that, I'm very happy with the way I played. Oh, and the fact that Edge was not rocking that ninja sword, and in fact was beating up with the Thunderclaw that he still had on from Odin.
Yep, pretty good. Yep.
As the first hit swung out, I'm just like, I have made a grave mistake here.
I did really appreciate that you recognized at the very end that you were at or near Rock's face and threw that Cure for it directly at Edge. I think that was really clutch.
Yeah, it was the decision of, do I cure? It's like one way or the other, I have to. There's a possibility of yet another nuke, or sorry, yet another Big Bang coming out. So it's okay. If this happens, Edge has to be at full. I cannot afford anybody to go down. Anybody else goes down, the fight's done. So Cure 4 on Edge, get him back up to full, get the everything prepped for counter nuke into Big Bang, into whatever is going to happen. I've been combo plattered before. I don't want it to happen again. I considered a life 2 with Porum, but just like, no, let's play this as safe as you can. You're still going strong. And that's when I took the Cure 4 and went into the rest of it. And then I saw rocks, the both dodging rocks, by the way, both dodging that first Meteo. I was just like, okay, now we just let Edge do his thing. And I watched the Thunderclaw hits, and I'm just like, every one of these just shocks me to my core.
All right, now I have to ask you the most important question.
Yes.
Why is the Crystal Sword the best item in the game?
Because you feed it to Fat Chocobo and it makes him happy.
Yes, it does.
Until the seed decides to say, no, you're not out memeing me, and decides to give you 2 more just for fun.
I was so very upset at the Crystal Swords, the Avenger, the Excalibur, I think a White Spear maybe at one point, the Gungnir. I'm like, my boys would be very happy with all of these. Where are my boys?
I mean, the darts were nice.
Yeah.
Oh, they absolutely were. Watching 8K be thrown right at Zeromus's face twice was very fantastic.
Yep. That was good times.
I mean, otherwise though, to talk about the seed a little bit more, just in the way that the early game was very slow in terms of bosses being doled out, then the sudden jump from 2 to 6 very quickly. Yes. But that hunt for Darkness Crystal, how was that feeling as check after check after check? And it's, well, I mean, aside from the Holy Swords of Fate March, which was fantastic, the fact of no darkness had to be quite stressful.
Yeah, I was looking, and honestly, I wasn't worried originally about Darkness Crystal. We had the pass in hand from a very early check. I was not even worried 100% about finding darkness. I was like, okay, where are my last 2 bosses? Where are my last 2 bosses? Where are my last gated key items? Like the ones I was really, the items that I were actually looking for, I didn't care about darkness. I was more looking for, where's Luca? Where's Package? If I know where those 2 are, I'm kind of confident where the rest of the seed is, because the Luca key had Earth Crystal, meaning that finding Luca was not going to be a terminating key item. So when Pan showed up with half of nothing, and then I know, okay, so Darkness Crystal has to be here. It has to be behind this Twin Harp. So that was when I got a little panicky, because around that time, again, that's where it was just like, I'm in essential face check mode. And at that point, it was just like, wait, the moon is required 100% somewhere. I almost actually thought about going to the Giant and see what was at the element spot, because it's the only place that could be 100% hard required aside from the Fey March, with 2 bosses hiding there too. That was the only thing in the back of my mind that made me a little panicky.
I was definitely super nervous, just waiting to see if you were going to go bottom or top first when you were going down the LST. That was going to be a make or break right there.
That, I almost had the urge to go for the more boss dense area where it's faster to do checks, but my MO, and I'm going to constantly keep this, and if I lose to this, I lose to it, I don't care. My MO has always been top down. Top down has burned me very few times by comparison to middle out or bottom up. So I'm going to keep doing my top down, because until it burns me in every race from now on, it's going to be top down, because that just the confidence knowing that you don't have to deal with the top, and it's just gone and good, and you can just go from the middle.
I don't blame you. It is a rather quick check just to get that peace of mind, for sure. Yeah,
yes,
for sure. All right, well, you get to breathe a sigh of relief. You are through. You are the winner of this race. We do know that your next opponent will be John Burkhead. How you feeling about that matchup?
Even more nervous than I was going up against Mecha. Mecha is a fantastic runner. I have gone up against them in other tournaments, and I've had the floor wiped with me. So this is like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm still kind of shaking and super surprised right now. Still get the little adrenaline pumping. But John Burkhead, yeah, you cannot disrespect an opponent of that caliber. It's from here on out. It is as it was from the beginning. It is 100% uphill battle, and it's not going to be easy. And I'm excited.
Yeah, so am I. Very excited. It was such a fun race to watch. I'm excited for that matchup to come next week. And otherwise, go rest, go relax, or go celebrate. However, it is you want to do that after your victory. And I'll just say, do you have any last words, Dathus, before we let you go?
The only thing I really want to say is, again, thank you guys, Radical and Solaris. Super excited to listen back to comms because I know you guys enjoy the memes when I can sneak them in, and I couldn't do many, and I apologize. Again, Fried Potato, fantastic job tracking, as I assume, because a lot of those key items came in quick, same with those bosses. And Xenocat, the Seed had jokes, holy swords, and no paladins. That's all I'm. You know what? That's all I can ever really ask for.
I mean, I can give you minor spoilers that there was definitely quite a bit of laughter on this. So you did us all proud by giving us a lot to be entertained about.
You absolutely did.
My goal. All right, you guys have yourselves a wonderful afternoon, so you guys can get to Mecha, and take care.
You too. Cheers.
So, GG's to Dathus. We will be presumably talking to Mechalink shortly. And as I say that, we are now joined by Mechalink. GG's on the race. How are you feeling after what was a very, very tight race throughout and a very close finish?
Yeah. I mean, I'm feeling bad because I clearly took the worst grind, and that made a lot of difference. And then also I ground extra eggs because I didn't see Rydia gain the nuke. So I'm not feeling great about that. But otherwise, I like a lot of what I did. Right, like I'm pretty happy with most of the rest of it. I liked not doing Eblin. Right, like I liked going down when I did and the way I did. Right. So I feel overall I really liked my play, except for I screwed up the grind. So,
yeah, I think that's a sound evaluation of how the seed went. Of course, darkness showing up as late as it does kind of tends to make these seeds a bit linear, and then
yep, exactly. Like it was very linear. So I was talking to myself like, I hope he missed something, right? Like anything, right? Like because then, right, like he has to keep going, right? Like I don't know what, but just hope he dropped a spot, right? Like because otherwise it was a foot race, right? Like and I'm right, like and a foot race is pretty even, and this was pretty even, so. So that's where I am. Like, I'm glad it was close all the way through. I'm glad it was, an interesting race, even though you're right. Like, I did a seed like this last night. It was, linear, although it was linear through the moon. So it was even worse. It was right, like it was the same sort of thing where it's like chain into darkness, into chain off of the moon. Right. So it was the worst version of this, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's fine. Right. Like, that kind of seed is fine. It's just a little long.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear the attitude about it too. I mean, sometimes rando just sort of is going to be what it is. It's good to evaluate when we make decisions. And of course, we're trying to go very fast, right? And it's like, okay, I need to grind. I need to just do it right now. Like sometimes you get caught in a situation where you realize like, oh, this is not optimal, but I'm here, so I'm going to carry through with what is now the best strategy.
I knew Rydia was essentially invulnerable to dragons.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like I knew that I wouldn't die, even though it looked dicey there. Right.
It got a little close. Yeah.
I got a little close, but I mean, I know that those stops don't have a super long duration. It's not magnet, right? Right.
You certainly got our heart rates up, though. We were very nervous for you.
I mean, I was starting to get nervous, but then she popped up. I'm like, okay, cure 3, right? Like because the entangle's a counter, right? So it wasn't going to happen again. This isn't a Staleman lock, right?
Right. Yeah, also, I early said that Staleman are like the worst trap in the game for that reason.
They absolutely are. I got good variants on the Staleman. Right, like they hit Rydia, not Edge, and then Edge killed them. Right, so that was probably one of the dicier fights. But on the overall, I screwed up that Siren that I wanted to take right early. Like that didn't feel good. But otherwise, I did what I saw Rydia. Right, like, and when we got the hook, I'm like, okay, do we have Leviathan? The answer is yes.
That's what guided you to Cave Eblin. That was one of my questions. That makes sense.
Go to Cave Eblin, right, like, find it. Don't have the money because I haven't looted. Go to Castle Eblin, loot it out, right, like, for the point where I can buy Leviathan, right? Like, and then tear everything down. Like, that's like much like Fusoya, right? Like, Rydia just destroys the early game, right? Like, if you have a Leviathan, right? Like, whereas Fusoya, right, like you just, beat bosses and then you just steamroll everything. Or like Edge with good weapons can just tear through everything, right? Like, Rydia's in the same boat, right? Like, Leviathan is an outsized amount of power for the overworld, right? And so, yeah. And then when our only physical characters were Yang, Sid, and Edge, I'm like, okay, right? Like, we have 3 real mages, Tella, and for when we get the Darkness Crystal, and for general white mage utility until Porum comes online, right? Like, and so for me, it was kind of a semi-obvious, right? Like, mage strats party with, especially with the Leviathan giving us like, a good start, right? Like before, and so because of the Leviathan, I didn't need to wait for Quake. Right, like I didn't need to make sure that the kids were 23. Dathus mentioned that they grinded, right, like in Castle Emblem.
Because he didn't have the Rydia. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And he said he didn't have the Rydia, right? Whereas I was like, okay, like he's at, like Palam's at 18, don't care, right? Like I can take Gauntlet here, right? Like I can take Hag here, right? Like we got a close kill on the whatever was before the Water Hag, right? Like it was a little tight, but. Oh, it was dragons, right? Right, like we got a little close there, but yeah, it was just, I felt really good about my level of aggression, my, what I did in general, right? Like it just, that grind was less than optimal. Were there hourglasses in Cave Dwarf? Like that was the shop I
don't think we ever saw.
I saw Hourglass 2 somewhere in a shop, but I don't remember where.
I don't remember where. It must have been Dwarf then, yeah.
It had to be Dwarf. Okay, that feels even worse. Like I ended up routing Dwarf such that I exited out and I didn't really want to go back in. Right, like I kind of like my mind were like I want to check the shops, but also right, like I want to do the warp into exit. Right, like, and I needed to check the shops early, but I didn't figure that out quite in time, right? And so I didn't have the hourglasses for the gold dragons, right? And so I, had some, some of those fights got rough. So yeah, that's annoying on my part. I should have gotten that check in before I did the fights. So yep, another minor mistake, but in tight races between people of, equal skill, variance is what counts. Whether it's the variance of does your brain figure it out in time or rando going to rando, right? Like that's just how it works. So
yeah, absolutely.
No shade, no shame. Like I
Nope.
mean, it sounds like Dathus ran. I mean, we both ran, a tight race and an entertaining race, and it was close, and it was decided by it sounds like the person who just made a little more mistakes, and that's how it's supposed to be. So
yeah, and very, very, very sound, solid evaluation of how that went. Yeah. Absolutely agreed.
After
and GG's to you.
After 10 years in the Magic Mines, right? Like you kind of get sort of evaluation.
Get used to it, yeah. Right. You and I feel like have had this conversation before about variance.
Probably.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, let's let people go, huh? Or do you have any other questions?
No, just GG's, and I do see that, I was going to ask about your upcoming matchups, but you're kind of in an interesting spot now. So, of course, you dropped to the waning bracket. Mm-hmm. Your matchup would have been against Kedril, but Kedril did drop pretty early on. So it looks like your matchup, you get a couple weeks of break here.
I was thinking that I'd end up paired against, if both of us won this last week, I was going to, if in waxing, I was going to fight Raging Levine. Right, so I was assuming because we both.
You're actually ultimately, well, okay. Raging Levine has to get through Fire Blizzard or Andoto, so you have a chance at that matchup. But yeah, that's ultimately where you're going to be going. So
okay, okay, that's what I thought. But I guess because the waning bracket's longer, right? Like, so yeah, I was hoping to get through this one, and so I dodge him, right? Like because we're kind of like I've been teaching him, right? Like so I was hoping to dodge him.
Okay, so it's like teach him. Yeah, that's cute. I like that.
But I was trying to dodge him, but I mean, it sounds like we're on a collision course if we both stay in. So such is life.
So you're saying we have a potential storyline if this all works out. So that's something to potentially look forward to. But obviously, there is a match still to be played before that.
Back to the Magic metaphors. Sometimes you get to paired with the person in your car.
That's right. That's right.
All right. No, thank you.
We'll let you go. Yep.
Solaris and CS Radical. You did comms. Xenocats on Restream and Frido Potato. Is it just fried potato? I see the goo and I
think it's
fried
potato. Yeah, okay. My brain always. I always want to put something. But yeah, it's fried potato.
The goo part. All right. Anyway, so yeah, Fried Potato, thank you all for streaming. Hope everybody enjoyed. See you all later.
Yeah,
and yeah,
it was
take care of it.
It was such a pleasure. Yeah, thanks so much, Mecha.
GG.
Bye.
GG's.
So yeah, another race in the can, another very close, very exciting race, Solaris. This was a pleasure to watch.
That was a blast, and I got to experience your sultry macho Randy Savage, which just, I think is my favorite thing right now, so thank you for that. This was such a delight.
Well, I try to do my best, you know?
Wait, with the... No! With the...
I needed water, I can't
He's
help
now
that
Canadian.
one.
I adore you so much. All right, so that is not the end of Free Enterprise, by the way. There is much more in store for us tonight. I've got the matchups up. We are actually going to head on over to Free Enterprise. It's going to be Decker Smash versus Dragus at 5 p.m. Eastern, which is now. And then at 8 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have Elven Sorrow versus the Bardic Pandas. So definitely look forward to those matches. And then, you know, the weeks to come, we're certainly not near the end of the tournament. But yeah, with that, that was me. That was CS Radical, Xenocat doing the restreaming, Fried Potato doing the tracking, and we bid you a good afternoon and good evening.
Take care, everybody.